has done this whole like brilliant mind game to convince Polt that I don't like Mutalisks, I don't go Mutalisks, there's no point defending against Mutalisks because you'll be wasting your money. And now Stephano's gone Mutalisks, Polt doesn't have a clue, but he still goes in with a low number of Mutalisks. So I'm saying that Stephano should have waited. He should have waited for like 10 to 15 Mutalisks, and then he could have done a lot of damage. He could have killed every single one of these SCVs. He could have picked off buildings. He could have picked off add-ons. He doesn't need speed. He needs damage. And unfortunately, Stephano goes for that speed aspect. So Polt now, again, not a turret. He's setting up tanks for Lings and Infestors. Doesn't have any turrets. I feel Stephano could have done so much more damage with his Mutas. So now you'll see Stephano pick off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 SCVs, 7. Okay, 7, 8. So he picks up 8 SCVs. And nothing else. But now, Polt goes, okay, he's got Mutalisks. And he starts building turrets. Now these Mutalisks can't really do any more damage unless they get into a massive Mutaball. Because obviously he's got Marines, he'll start building turrets, turrets here, turrets there. But against Stephano, you know, being Stephano, attacks in 2 locations at once and just gets these Zerglings in while he's distracted. But again, I feel that those Mutalisks could have done so much more damage than they did. And again, Stephano being really, really smart right now and picking off a 3rd base. So overall, good play by Stephano, but I feel it could have been a lot more cost effective to him if he'd have waited for that big unmutable, you know, and if he'd gone in with like 16, 17 meters or something crazy like that, sniped a ton more SCVs and then been able to win this fight as well. But instead, Stephano just goes in with like a low number of Mutalisks and just picks off 1 or 2 things, which I really don't like, to be honest, considering the effort he's gone through to make sure that Polt doesn't build Mutalisk defense. So Polt again, like almost stimming his Marines to death. Stephano probably noticed this and probably realised that, you know, this base is not really that well defended. So, what does this play create? Well, Stephano has managed to spread his creep a lot by using Mutalisks for map control. He's managed to pick off SCVs. He's managed to, you know, double kind of a 2-prong attack into here to really hurt this base. What does that mean for Stephano? Well, Stephano has complete map control. He's done a ton of damage. Oh look, I can expand here. I can expand here. I can drone up. I can take gases. I can tech up. I can get macro hatcheries. You know, I can completely dominate this match. And that's what Stephano's doing. Stephano again just being really annoying with these Mutalisks. You don't want to fight against Marines though. Not until you have like 30 or 40 Mutalisks. Do not fight against Marines with Mutalisks. Ever. Especially 2-2 Marines. So again, Polt now having to play defensive. Stephano, by his like sudden kind of switch to meta play, like considering the other games, he's now forced Polt into, you know, a situation where Polt didn't think he'd ever be in. You know, having to defend against Mutalisks, having to, you know, delay medevacs, having to delay expansions, having to get turrets. Just something Polt isn't used to playing against Stephano right now. So Stephano has a massive upper hand in this game. Stephano again just being really active with these Mutalisks. When being active with Mutalisks, you need to be really careful not to lose them. So you need to keep a good eye on these Mutalisks, because if these Mutalisks fly over a bunch of Marines and you lose them for nothing, that's a lot of gas. That is 1,600 gas, 1,600 minerals lost for zero gain. So again, Stephano just enjoying his free map. He's getting expansions galore. He's droning up. He's teching up. He's getting macro hatches. He's building an army. Just Stephano just loving all this map control he's gained. Again, just being really, really annoying and active with these Mutalisks. Just careful not to lose one. He loses one or two. It's not too bad, but again, he could have got away there without losing a single Mutalisk. And Polt now just forced to play defensively. If you force a Terran into playing defensive, and you don't take advantage of that by hatchery, you know, breaking down rocks, you know, gunking up here with creep from an overlord, then you're wasting that entire advantage. How many people, if you're Zerg of course, have been in this position where you've got like, I've got 4 bases, you know, I've got macro hatches, I've got upgrades, I've got lings, I've got mutas, and then you fly your mutas into him, lose them all, and then he just A moves with marine tank and wins. I believe that pretty much every Zerg can probably relate to that. And what Stephano's doing is he's being super active with these mutas and not losing them. That forces the Terran to stay in his base. If these mutas are here, a Terran cannot move out without building a ton of turrets or leaving 4s, or, you know, just weakening their push in some way or another. If these mutas suddenly disappear, Terran doesn't have to play defensive. Terran can expand, Terran can tech, Terran can push. And if Terran are pushing, that means you're defending. And you just give up your entire advantage here. So as long as these mutas stay alive, and as long as they stay active, Terran can't win. So Stephano just being really irritating, just picking off an SCV, picking off supply depots, you know, stopping these upgrades, and just keeping the Terran defensive. What I'd like to see Stephano do is take an expansion, and then punish him with mutas. But what Stephano's doing is just starving him and teching up to that Broodlord infestable that is really tough to stop at the moment. So again, Stephano just being really active with these Mutalisks. Again, these Mutalisks have survived like almost the entire game now. You know, he's added on a few, but he's generally kept the count around 16. So Terran right now is pushing, but because of literally these Mutalisks and this creep spread, Terran has to be super slow. And because they're so slow, Stephano can make banelings, he can make lings, he can get some festers if he really wanted to. He can and has the luxury to wait for these upgrades as well, just to make his army a little bit more effective. But again, because of this creep, because of the Mutalisks, the Terran has to push out so slowly. So Polt now just tank hopping with Marines. Stephano just being really annoying with these Mutalisks, picking off 1 tank, picking off 2 tanks. Eventually it mounts up and gives Stephano that just a little bit of extra engagement value. So again, he's just chasing Marines about, he's, you know, using his Mutalisks, gets another free tank there. And he just has the luxury of controlling this entire game. I mean, Polt would love to expand right now, he's building the command center, but where can Polt expand? So Polt has obviously this middle, so Polt can expand here. But can he really? Because Stephano has a very fast flying air unit. He also doesn't need it to engage this army. So if Polt expands here, Stephano kills it with Mutalisks. If Polt expands here, Stephano, you know, can kill it with lings, can kill it with Mutalisks. So right now Polt is trying his hardest to reduce that muta count, and you'll see it. You'll see it in engagements where Polt will attempt to target Mutalisks rather than the ground army. But Stephano just has too much right now. Again, Polt just trying to stay alive, trying to save his Marines, but Stephano just has too much. So Stephano comes out ahead in this engagement. Again, picks off a tank, and just stops Polt expanding, even morphing in banelings right as the battle goes on as well. So again, Stephano should pull back, doesn't want to lose anything he doesn't have to, picks off a tank, picks off an SCV and just pulls back with these mutas. Again, if you haven't noticed, Stephano has stopped making Mutalisks. He doesn't need to make more. These Mutalisks aren't designed to kill, they're designed to force Polt into a defensive style rather than to finish him altogether. So Stephano right now is banking all that gas, 2,300 gas. He should have gone up to Hive right now and be getting a Great Aspire. He should be expanding, but I think Stephano being Stephano, he's smelt blood, he's